Do you look at your mountain of goals and feel stuck?
Or have you already achieved great things and yet you know there's still more?
Then you've come to the right place.
We're here to offer practical tools and tangible strategies to change your mindset.
And challenge you to produce a life beyond the norm.
I'm Nate.
I'm Laura.
Welcome to the Transcendence Podcast.
Welcome back to this week's episode. Last week we talked about living in the present and what it means to be in the present. And one of the things that we talked about is increasing your gratitude and what that looks like to find gratitude in the day-to-day. And Nate, something that you live by and something that I've heard you talk about for years now is this idea of being content but never satisfied. So today I want you to kind of explain what that means, what that looks like, and how you exercise that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so like Laura said, this is something I came up with years ago, and this is something that I've really interjected in my life and focused on being content but never satisfied. And I think a lot of people get those confused or think they're one and the same, and they're not at all. See, content is a state of peaceful happiness. And where that comes from is gratitude. That comes from being grateful. This is when you're fully grateful for what you have and what you have done. And I think that is a major issue in today's society because, see, when you're grateful, you have more respect going out. You have more respect going outward to the things you have, to the people in your life. And when you have more respect going outward, or more respect for yourself, when you have more respect going outward, you have less entitlement being displayed. And when you have less entitlement being displayed, you're going to get more respect from others and the people above you in life, the people that are either more successful as your mentors or the people above you in your workplace, and you're going to get more respect from them. And I think that's why there's a lack of respect for especially young people, and I'm a young person, so I'm speaking to my own generation. We have a lack of gratefulness.
Absolutely.
We have a lack of gratefulness for what we have, whether we got it or whether it was given to us. And we have a lack of gratefulness for the experiences that we have or create. And when we can really lean into this gratefulness and become more content, you're going to get more respect from the people around you. The other thing that contentment actually breeds is confidence. So many people feed off their insecurities or always want more confidence and don't know how to get it. Be grateful. You're going to have more confidence because confidence is letting go of the insecurities. Because where do those insecurities come from? They come from regrets, or they come from grudges that you're holding, or they come from some feeling that you're subpar. But when you're content and grateful for where you're at in life, when you're content and grateful for what you've accomplished, when you're content and grateful for the people in your life, then you're nothing but confident. There's no insecurities holding you back. And these things will hold you back, and they will slow you down from achieving those goals that you set out to do and that impact that you want to make in the world. Because we all want to be more confident. Everybody talks about how confidence is key in your interviews, when you're talking, you got to speak with authority, all that kind of stuff. Well, that stems from being grateful because you have to be content in order to be confident. So I want to talk about three practical things that you can do today, you can do right now to become more content because, like I said, that's the thing that's helped me the most is being content and being grateful for what I have and getting that respect from everyone around me, from mentors, from teachers, from, employers, from you, from friends. Everybody, there's a higher level of respect when there's a higher level of contentment and gratefulness.
And I think that's a good question. Maybe if you feel like I'm not getting that respect, I don't feel like I'm being seen for what I am, maybe ask yourself, am I presenting myself in a way that's coming across that I'm humble, that I'm willing to serve? Because when you walk in a place, whether it be at work or in a different scenario, and you walk in like you know it all or like you've earned your stripes, basically, people that have been way ahead of you are not going to give you the respect that you're wanting. And I think that's really good to keep in mind. It's just to ask yourself that.
And next week, we're probably going to dive into what is the difference of confidence and what is the difference of cockiness, because there's a fine line there. And there's a fine line that, depending on what side you're on, is going to depend a huge outcome.
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do to become more content is you need to get rid of all your regrets. And this obviously sounds a lot easier than it probably is for a lot of people. And you're like, Nate, how do I get rid of regrets? Like, if there's something in your life that you regret doing, the way to get rid of it in your mind is to turn it into a learning opportunity. Right now, we're going to physically get rid of the regrets. So what you need to do is you need to get 2 sheets of paper. Because see, sometimes you have to do a physical task in order to make a mental shift. And that's what we're trying to do right now. Make a mental shift, because if we have learning opportunities as opposed to regrets, they're things that we've done to make us better that we can be grateful for, rather than things that we're still holding on to that are holding us back. So you have your 2 sheets of paper side by side. On your first sheet, on the one to the left, write down every regret that you're holding on to. Every single one. Put bullet points and just go straight down the list. Make a whole list of regrets. Now, on the second sheet, for every regret, write down something that you learned. What is the biggest thing that you learned through that experience that you regret that you did? What did you learn? Now what you need to do, once you have a learning opportunity for every regret, you need to tear up the regret sheet and throw it away. See, you've now shifted your mind from thinking of how a regret turns into something good, that, hey, this was a learning opportunity in life that made me better. And then we're going to get rid of all the regrets. So now you're left with just a physical reminder of all the learning opportunities that you could be grateful, because they're what got you to where you are today. Now, the second thing you need to do is you need to forgive anybody you're holding on grudges to, whether it be a family member, an old friend, a parent, yourself. If you have grudges with yourself, if you haven't forgiven yourself for something, you need to forgive yourself. You need to forgive those other people. And I'm talking about physically and mentally forgive them. Don't just tell yourself, yeah, I forgive them. No, because there's still a part of you that's still holding on to it. You need to call them right now. You need to go get coffee with them. You need to write them a letter. Some way to get in contact with them to let them know that, hey, I was holding on to this grudge. Make it about you were the one holding on to the grudge. Don't push the blame on them. Accept it and acknowledge and take responsibility for it. Hey, I was holding on to this grudge, but I want to let you know that I take responsibility for that. I'm sorry I've held on to it this long, and I forgive you for that mistake.
I just think that life is too short, to live with that in your heart, in your mind, and to have it constantly be pulling at you and taking you away from your purpose. And so if you can get rid of any of that in your life, do it. And sometimes it just takes a moment of just humbling yourself and coming to terms with maybe where you went wrong. And like Nate said, not pushing the blame on them, even if maybe they were the one in the wrong. Just push it aside. It's over with. Life is too short to live with that in your heart and mind.
Because if somebody did something to hurt you, chances are at this point in time, especially if we're months, years down the road, chances are that unforgiveness is hurting you and holding you back more
definitely
than it's holding them back.
Yep.
They've already moved on. They apologized and they know they've done everything they can. Now it's time for you to reach back out to them and say, hey, I shouldn't have held on to this so long. I want to let you know I forgive you. And who knows, that could be the connection that you need in your life to help accelerate you to your goals. Or it could just be that grudge that's going to fall off your life so you can be more content and more joyful in your day-to-day life. Because let's remember the things that contentment brings. Contentment is going to bring joy, it's going to bring efficiency, and it's going to bring connectiveness. Because in order to be content, you have to be present. So it's going to give you the same benefits that the presence gives you that we talked about last week. Now, the third thing that you can start to do in order to increase the amount of contentment in your life is you need to increase the gratitude, which means you need to make physical declarations of what you're grateful for. You can do it any time in your day. A lot of people think it's best to do it in the morning or best before bed or both, or in the middle of the day. Whatever you think is best and whatever you're going to do consistently, and you can agree to do consistently, do that. You can either state them out loud, or you can write them down, or you can do both. But my challenge to you is, if something you're grateful for is another person, go to that person that day and tell them that you're grateful for them and why. Because now you're extending out the value. It's going to bring more contentment, more gratefulness to your own life, but you're also going to give somebody else something. You're going to give them encouragement, which could be what they need to hear that day or in that season that they're in. So the value then is bigger than yourself. And anytime we can share the value that we're producing for ourselves, we need to share it.
And when you're writing these down or saying them out loud, if you're creating a daily practice, I would encourage you to look in that day, that specific day, and don't just write down, oh, I'm thankful for my spouse, or oh, I'm thankful for a great boss. Write down what happened that day that made you really grateful. It could be, I'm really grateful for my wife because she made me breakfast. It could be, I'm really grateful that I got to have a one-on-one moment with my child today. Writing down those specific things will allow you, the more you do it throughout your day, you will naturally start to look for those opportunities because you're looking for things to write down.
So I know what you guys are thinking. There's a lot of people that talk about gratitude and being content, right? But the second part of this is just as important. So why never satisfied? That sounds like an unhappy way to live when you hear it. And that's why I make the statement so bold, content but never satisfied, is because it gets people thinking. See, the definition of satisfied is fulfillment of one's wishes, expectations, or needs. See, contentment is a way in which we live. It's a state of being. You're still actively being. Satisfaction is an ending to something you completed. And as high performers, when we're seeking out the best version of ourselves, we know there is always room for improvement because nobody is perfect. No matter how good of a person they are, there's still room for improvement. If we live in satisfaction, that's saying that you're done. That's saying that you're no longer seeking it. And I never want to be that person because, see, that's the hunger in me. That's the drive for more. This never satisfied part is the part that keeps me wanting to accomplish things bigger and make a bigger impact in the world and help more and more people. That's the never satisfied part. See, because when you become satisfied, you become comfortable, you become stagnant, and your chances are you're never going to achieve any really big goals. And you see the people that fall into that comfort state are people that either one, set goals too small, or two, didn't set another goal once they accomplished their first. So I want to get this right. The never satisfied part sounds so negative, but that's your fuel. This is like getting into a car and then trying to drive it with no gas. Not being satisfied is my fuel, it's my motivation. But being content is where my gratitude and my confidence is rooted in. So when you can be content and be happy for what you have, you can live in joy and you can still want more. If you become satisfied, you ended your pursuit for more. So wherever you're currently at is where you're going to always be. Because you said, I've reached fulfillment. Yeah. That's what satisfied means. It's fulfillment.
You've settled at good enough.
Yes. So we want to be in the state of being and living in joy, but still striving for a higher amount of whatever it is you're pursuing. So, do you want to be grateful and hungry, or do you want to be complacent and stagnant? Content, but never satisfied is something I've lived by day for years now. And some people want to know, Nate, why have you accelerated quickly? What pushes you to keep going further? Because there's a lot of people that know me, they know I have a drive about me. And that's what's helped me. And it stems from this. If you want confidence, be more grateful. If you want respect, be more grateful and less entitled. And when you can do that, you're going to live in that state of being, and you're going to have the fuel to keep going after what you want, and you're going to accomplish huge things in life. So be content, but never satisfied.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. We hope that you've learned something new, that you feel challenged, and are inspired to live a life beyond the norm.
If something in this episode stuck out to you, be sure to screenshot the podcast, post it on Instagram, and tag us in it. Let us know what captivated you.
And speaking of Instagram, we would love to connect with you and let you be the first to know about our new episodes and exciting updates.
If you found value in this podcast, be sure to leave us a rating or review. This will allow us to expand our reach and let others know that they can benefit from this podcast as well.
We appreciate you spending your time with us, and we can't wait to be with you again soon.
Join us next time as we continue to live a life beyond the norm.